Hey everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for messaging me at the Rapp Saloon event and telling me like, hey, email this person. I was like, yes, absolutely, I will email. When can you have me? So this is a perfect day. I'm going to share about 20 minutes of poetry with you all tonight. If you like what you hear and see, make sure you're snapping and clapping and shouting and hollering in the chat as well. I like to see interaction so I can know I'm doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. I want to begin tonight by reading a poem. It is Women's History Month, but every month is Women's History Month, as we know women do everything. And I want to begin with a poem called A Message from Uppity Negresses, and then get into some other bits. All right. So this poem is from my book, Be Trouble. A message from uppity negresses. I know what you're thinking when you see me. She thinks she all that. She think she too good. She forgot her place. She thinks she's better than somebody. Well, the elders told me I had to be twice as good, twice as nice, twice as smart, twice as fast, twice as strong, twice as clean, twice as polite, work twice as hard to get half as much as you. And here I am lapping you in every race, outperforming, outlifting, outlasting, outplaying you in every match, still fighting for what you leave as table scraps. And you, an intellectual, conservative, liberal, progressive, feminist, suffragette, realist, socialist, and ally, are jealous of my oppression. You hastily throw on your sheerest victimhood to prove you too have been discriminated against. Someone once called you racist and you were aghast. You too have experienced sorrow and suffering, and only your brown nanny and only your black mammy was there to kiss your boo-boo. You too have been offended just as bad as the N-word with the hard ER, such as snowflake, mayonnaise, paleface, and Becky. You too have grappled with the burdens of history. The weight of ancestral guilt is so much to bear. You are tired of apologizing for your privilege. It is unfair that we all have issues, but only I, brown, black, migrant, immigrant, indigenous, imported goods gone bad, exported goods, mark return to sender, feather headdress and fried chicken come home to roost. Only I expect handouts, a leg up, a head start, some type of affirmation of my humanity because I am lazy. Even as I work twice as hard, am twice as polite, clean, strong, fast, smart, nice, good. And the elders taught me to be humble and keep my head down, and you'd never notice me. So I don't dance in the end zone. I don't beat my chest after I score. I just adorn myself in the kind of things you would call tacky, ratchet, ghetto, until you manifest my destiny, repackage it to be cool, urban, tribal, ethnic. And then you tell me you didn't even notice I was black. You say we are all one race, all lives matter. I know better, but you demand I concede and repeat. You try to pacify me with your colorblind mythology, the way you once used Christ on the cross to tether me, the way you once used Christ on the cross to tether me, the way you once used Christ on the cross to tether me, even after the chains were off. You say you don't notice, but I think you do. So I want you to know I am all that. I am too good. And I know my place is first. And if you have to ask, then I have to confirm the rumors are true. I am better than you. And you can stay mad. So that's the first poem, just to get us started. That's a good introduction for me. That's my personality in a poem on the best days. The next piece I want to read is also one from Be Trouble that I actually haven't read in a while. Um, I wrote this poem in 2017 before Be Trouble even existed, when it was just a glint in somebody's eye, not mine. And last year, with the murder of George Floyd, the poem became popular amongst people who already own Be Trouble and things like that. And they really couldn't believe that I had lines in there that spoke directly to the pain they felt at the moment. And I said, well, the pain is old pain, that just keeps coming back anew and afresh every day. And I think on a day like today, especially, as we mourn and think about the 8 folks who lost their lives in Georgia this past night, that this pain is not new for any of us. And so I think poetry does the work of letting us encapsulate it sometimes and unpack it later if we have to. So this poem is called A Saturday Night. What do you do when you see lights in the rear view mirror? What do you do when the siren loops around your throat? What do you do when you are on the street in a group of 4 or more? What do you do when you are alone? What do you do when you know you don't have anything in your pockets that can hurt the officer? Keep your nose to the ground. Keep your eyes on the road and find a safe spot to pull over. Turn that noise on your radio down before the officer approaches your window. Didn't they teach you in high school that 4 or more of you is a gang? Don't you know you shouldn't be out here alone? Don't you know that your skin is weaponized in the womb? Speak only when spoken to. Don't matter that you wasn't doing nothing. Don't matter that we doing this all the time. Don't matter that we don't be bothering nobody. Don't drop the G's from your ings. Don't ask any questions. Ask permission to reach into your purse for your wallet. You should just clench your license between your teeth and smile while you are doing it, not too hard. Black joy is suspicious. Keep your hands above your waist. Keep your hands on the hood of the car. Keep your fingers locked behind your head. Take your foot off the gas pedal. Keep your feet more than shoulders width apart. Keep your eyes on the ground. Do not stare defiantly into the officer's eyes. Do not call out in pain when his knee is on your neck. Do not call out in pain when his knee is on your neck. Do not call out in pain when his knee is on your neck. Go limp like a rag doll when they grab you. Do not bristle when the officer cups your vagina. And if you ever find yourself being Black on a Saturday night, don't. So that is A Saturday Night. And that poem is based off of a poem called A Saturday Night in July from the Black Arts Movement as well. And a professor, I have to give all my references. I'm a good professor. I can't steal anybody's ideas. I got to tell you where it came from. Next up, another poem I don't read very often at all, but again, it is Women's History Month, and I want to speak for women who don't get a chance to always speak for themselves. This poem is called What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Lucky. I thank my mother for never teaching me to love a man when his voice is rough from brown liquor, his words knotting together and pulling themselves taut around my throat, a man who parts lips with bare knuckles. I thank my mother for never teaching me to love a man when his footsteps are war, when his breathing sounds like ticking, when his eyes pass over me like a sniper's scope searching for his next target, and the softest parts of me know the sharpest parts of him too well. I thank my mother for never teaching me to love a man when he's so used to my crumpled body on the ground that he resents me when I'm on my own 2 feet. I thank my mother for never teaching me to love a man who says he will love me to death, because she's seen women love men who never broke that vow until there was nothing left to love, to live, not even themselves. I thank my mother for saying, girl, if he ever called himself jumping on you, you better knock the hell out of him and keep on knocking until the devil answers the door. And so that is for the women who learned that lesson from their mothers too. Next, to keep this show rolling, I'm going to read another poem from a mother's perspective called Now I Play Black Mama Crying Over Dead Son, and then roll to another poem called Give Us This Day, Death is Our Daily Bread. Now I play Black Mama Crying Over Dead Son. Now I lay me down to weep, my body next to a body of my body, next to my boy. Can I return him to me? I mop his blood with my hands. Can I absorb him? Can I make him over again? If I lie still as he, maybe death will take me, believe me dead instead. Can I cup his face and scream air back into his lungs so he can catch my breath as his breath? Am I not the wind? He is my world. Surely I am just a moon. Surely he is the sun, but he is so cold. Give us this day. Death is our daily bread. Joshua Williams was murdered in front of my home 3 days before Father's Day. I was on my way to buy my father a gift. I wonder if Joshua had a daughter. I wonder if she made him a colorful construction paper tie like I once made for my father. Joshua Williams was murdered in front of my father. He was tending the garden, my father. I heard Joshua had a gun. Maybe it was in his waistband. Maybe it was in the pocket of his hoodie. Maybe it was just the other boys shooting. I'm not sure. I wasn't there. I just smelled his insides splashed across the outsides. I passed his sneaker in the street. I have to confess, this is a selfish ass poem. I have blushed at so many boys with guns in their waistbands. I have said, have a good day to my father so many mornings. Sometimes I fall asleep praying for God to bless each member of my family, worried that if I don't say their names, God might snatch them from me while I sleep. I wonder if Joshua ever said his prayers that way. I read the LA Times homicide report for fun. Not for fun. I read the LA Times homicide report so I can stop being afraid. I am desensitized as a safety mechanism. I live somewhere between orange and red alert. James Baldwin was right. I am in a constant state of rage. Joshua Williams was murdered in front of where my heart is. And I have been holding back a scream and fear the scream has died. It is now just the air used to read this. I'm afraid the air will go away. I'm afraid the air will expel. I am afraid the air is a black exhaust. I am black and exhausted. And it took me 2 months to stop hiding in the bathroom every time my father walked outside. And it took my mother a bit longer to stop watching us from the window. Sometimes I think she still does, looking when she thinks we're not. I wonder how long it took Joshua's girl. I wonder how long it took Joshua's mother. I wonder how long it took Joshua's future to stop looking for him. Whew. So I think I have time for two more pieces to squeeze in there. Thank you all for the claps and the snaps in the chat. This next piece actually is the last poem in Be Trouble, and you can pick up Be Trouble everywhere and anywhere. Amazon Bookshop is my preferred venue if you're looking for a place to benefit other small booksellers. Essalon Bookstore here in South LA, Leimert Park is a great place to also order. But please check it out for Writ Large Press and the Accomplices. All right, so again, the last poem of my book is called Some Heroes Wear Their Do-Rags with the Capes Flapping, and I'm really proud to have shared this poem with Art Save the Vote as they raised money for the Georgia runoffs last year, and so I'm grateful to share it again with you all. And this is also because I saw Black Panther 6 times. And so I just want to admit that before the poem gets started, just so you have the full context. 6 times in the theater, 3 times in the same weekend, just so I can make sure you know where my bread is buttered right now. I love Black Panther. Anyway, some heroes wear their do-rags with the capes flapping. This is how Black people have survived, part 1. The colonizers' greatest mistake was underestimating our power. All they needed to see was a talented attempt to know that we were too dangerous to be left unregulated, unfiltered, unconquered, and so they did, or so they thought. But we still here. Still David and his sling. Still Harriet and her rifle. Still John Henry with the hammer. Still Jesse Owens whooping a Nazi's ass. Still Ali whooping Uncle Sam's ass. Still Michael Jackson on the moon. Still Katherine Johnson with the math. Still Michael Jordan with the rock. Still Dr. King taking a knee. Still Kaepernick taking a knee. Still Rosa Parks taking a seat. Still Mahalia raining down heaven. Still Richard Pryor raising hell. Still Fred Hampton with the bullhorn. Still Octavia with the pen. Still Malcolm X headed to Mecca. Still Chadwick at the Mecca. Still Ta-Nehisi at the Mecca. Still Bridgette at the Mecca, still Morrison at the Mecca, still Zora when she's laughing and Zora when she's looking mean and impressive, still Barack Obama on the Capitol steps, still Kamala Harris on the Capitol steps, still Audre Lorde reminding us that she is not free while any woman is unfree, even if her shackles look like Cuban links, still Assata in exile, still Langston in Paris, still Baldwin in Paris, still Josephine in Paris. The time for running has come to an end. Stokely Carmichael said, tell them all the scared niggas are dead. We still T'Challa to the bullshit. We still Jesus on the third day. Surprise, as you can see, we are not dead. This is how Black people have survived, part 2. The colonizers' greatest mistake was underestimating our resilience. We've been minding our own business and mining something stronger than vibranium, reaping and sowing something better than King Cotton. We've been digging for something blacker and slicker than oil was understood, don't need to be explained. Put some respect on our name. We are Wakanda. We ain't never been conquered. We've been Wakanda. Death is better than bondage, but you can't chain us, and no matter how hard you try, you can't kill us all, and you can't beat this Black off us, and you can't shoot this Black off us, and your walls ain't high enough to keep us out, and your jails ain't tight enough to keep us in. February ain't long enough to get us right. We be Wakanda. Just because we be magic don't mean we don't be real. This ain't no power. This is Black power, and all power to the people. Peace and freedom to the world. So that is how Be Trouble ends. And so I want to give you one more piece that's a little bit newer to bring it on home. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Ben, for inviting me. And thank you all for listening. So let me grab the poem because that is always the feat. Where'd the poem go in the midst of me getting excited? Hold on a moment. Sorry about that. Let me grab the poem. Oh no, I think I'm having a technical difficulty. If that case, oh no, there it is. Okay. This is a poem I wrote last summer after receiving several, I would say, concerned emails from really well-meaning white people in my life asking me how I felt during the Black Lives Matter protests that were happening, and not about the murder that sparked the protest, which is interesting, when it comes to rhetoric and how we describe things. And so I wrote this poem instead of writing back to them what I would have wanted to say to them. So this poem is called Whiteknuckled Emails, because I don't know anything about having white knuckles. I'm brown, but I had a feeling when they were writing, their knuckles were white. So it felt like it made sense. I heard something really bad happen to a Black person, and then I remembered that you were a Black person and maybe you might know them. Wait, is it racist to think that Black people know each other? I mean, I saw their skin and it was a lot like yours. Not that I'm saying all Black people look alike, but I'm saying I saw Black people on the news getting pepper sprayed, and I wondered if you were out there because I couldn't pick you out of a lineup. I mean, a crowd. I mean, I can't tell you apart from the other Black lady in the hallway whose name I called you. The last time we spoke, at least I think it was you. The state, I mean, the virus is killing Black people. The news said it has to do with institutionalized racism. I mean, pre-existing conditions and vitamin D and melanin. And my daughter taught me to say melanin, to say diversity, to say people of color, and not colored people. Of course, I would never say colored people. My father, he used to say he knew some very fine colored people, but my daughter said, Papa, that's not nice. Now you say African American. And he voted for Obama both times. And it's a shame how all of those businesses will suffer. I mean, what would Dr. King say? Violence against unarmed and defenseless property is not the answer. Not saying that you would steal, but I heard that's what happened in your neighborhood when you were a little girl. Is it racist to ask if you feel safe in your neighborhood? Maybe you should call the police if you see anything suspicious, like a black boy in a hoodie, or a black girl mouthing off, or a black person outside after curfew, or outside at all, or just a black. Do you think when all of this is over and we find a vaccine for racism, I mean, the virus, I mean, when we don't see color anymore, that we can go back to normal, back to when bad things happened to a black person and I didn't think about it and I didn't think about you. Thank you all for having me. Please pick up Be Trouble. Yeah, I think there are links in the chat. If not, they'll be there very soon.